That's live. That's live. Hello and welcome to the next episode of Matt and Todd Go to the Movies. With no special guests today, just the original two guys sitting in a car talking about movies. This is the podcast where two guys just went and saw a movie at our local Regal Cinema Theater, and now we're going to talk about it in one of the guys' cars, in the parking garage, right next to the theater. We're going to talk about such things as, should you see this movie, should you not see this movie? Should you snack during it? Can you bring a date? Should you bring your kid? Should you go alone? Do you need to pay attention? Can you nap? Can you craft? Can you just let your cares flow away in a nice wave of calmness while you watch a movie? Or not. I don't know. We're going to talk about it. I am Todd Domer.
And I'm Matt Malloy. Yes, we're here. We saw a movie. This movie is called Joker Folie. I don't really know what that means. Something about two.
Something two, right?
Something like...
Thank you, Hot Shots. That's how I always remember
something.
that.
Anyway.
Hot Shots Part 2.
Yeah, so Tim's not here to tell us who's in this movie, but I'll tell you. There's two people in this movie who you're going to recognize. One of them is Joaquin Phoenix. Yeah. The other one is called Lady Gaga. Mm-hmm. And there's no one else in it as far as I can...
The main guard, his name is it Jack Gleeson? He's been in a lot.
Okay.
It's like one of those characters that, like, when you see him, you're like, oh, that guy.
That guy.
Most notably, I think he's been in a lot of movies recently with, like, Colin Farrell, like In Bruges, if people have seen that one, and then a couple others. They've done a couple movies together, and then he's been in some big budget movies.
Cool. Well...
Just throwing him in there.
Yeah, he's in there.
Other than that, though, we get one quick scene. Gosh, with the woman from the first one who played Domino in Deadpool.
Yeah.
Something Beatrix? No, I don't know. Up and comer. I don't know if celebrity status yet, but I'm sure Tim would have mentioned her.
Right. Okay. Well. Tim's not here, so we will move on, and I'll tell you what this movie is all about. This movie picks up after the first Joker movie with Joaquin Phoenix.
2 years.
2 years after? Yeah. Okay. He is, the Arthur Fleck Joker character is in prison, and he is waiting trial, and this movie is about him being in prison and being on trial, and also meeting Harley Quinn, or as she's called in this movie, Lee Quinzel.
Yeah, they do say her full name of Harleen Quinzel. Yeah, Harleen Quinzel is her name, and then she goes by Harley Quinn, which
right,
cool.
Yeah. So they meet in prison in sort of some kind of singing group or something, and so they kind of fall in love throughout the course of the movie. And then they're singing, and that's what this movie is about.
Yeah, it really is like scene, depressing scene, song that doesn't fit and doesn't sound right. Scene. Song again, you're like, wow, that's fast, okay. Scene, then song again, you're like, all right, slow down with the songs, because they're not that good. And then scene, song, scene, song, scene. And then we get close to the end.
Todd, you're letting your feelings slip out here before
it's hard.
It's your time.
I was hoping, because this movie, the first Joker is our first podcast. Like,
it is.
And we didn't like it.
We did not.
In under 6 minutes, we explained why we didn't like it.
Correct.
And I was really hoping that this was going to pull a fastball on us, and we could be like, sitting here and be like, wow, like, I didn't see that coming. That was good. No.
Yeah. Well, you're already into it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I jumped the gun a little bit.
It's okay. Tell us your feelings about this movie in great detail.
Oh, man. This movie is real bad, and I honestly, the one of the first tells I thought was that even outside of just poor movie watching experiences, I felt like there were many people around us who kept engaging in conversation because they did not care what was happening on the screen anymore. That was one of the first indications. Was like when I was watching, I was like, "Is this as bad as I think it is?" And then like I'm seeing all these people keep talking, and like I thought someone was playing on their phone at one point, and I was like, "Okay, nope, this is a good indication that we're all feeling the same way." I'll get the small things that I liked out of the way, because there are a couple of things I do think, cinematography wise, there are some cool shots in this movie. Like one of them you see in the trailers where she like draws the smile on the glass and he like rises into it. Like I just thought that was a cool shot. Like there are some cool shots in here, like that I'm like, okay, like I appreciate that. I guess it's hard. Acting wise, I don't feel like anyone was horrible, but I'm also like, I can't tell if it's just like my disdain for the movie that won't allow me to say that they did a good job, like in their acting roles. But it's hard for me to say whether or not they were good or not. I think they were adequate. I'm gonna land on adequate. Like there was no bad acting that really took me out of the movie. I just was already out of the movie. So, you know, what can I say? Lady Gaga's a great singer. I like to hear her sing. That doesn't mean I like to hear her sing in this movie, if we're being honest. There were times where she, like, belted stuff out, and I was like, that's the Gaga I know. But then, like, most of the times I felt like she just was, like, she was toning it down from her real talent. And I didn't like that. I'm like, let it shine. Let it shine, Gaga. Wait, I'm supposed to be talking about the good things. I kind of just transitioned into a bad thing without even trying. Yeah, no, that's it. I'm not even gonna like try to. The movie. Okay, so for two movies, and this is, it's hard for me to go completely into this without ruining the end of this movie. So I'm not gonna touch on it, but it felt like for 4 hours, for two movies, they're painting this picture that Arthur Fleck is Joker. Like, this one's a little bit more like, you know, is there a Joker, is there not a Joker, like, as he's standing trial for what he did. However, the whole point of the first movie was, what's this emerging character from this person who's got mental illness and, like, life's beating him up and stuff like that. Like, I felt like the whole point of the first movie was to get to this person is the Joker, blah, blah, blah. You know, killing spree, city on fire. And this movie just, like, kind of just resets everything and then wants to tell the tale again. Like, and I thought it was just real dumb. Like, and a huge waste of time. And they don't even tell that story very well. And this movie is all over the place of dream sequences, I don't know, maybe psychotic breaks. They're not kind of talked about a whole lot. You're just thrusted into these dream sequences. And you're like, okay, like trying to keep figuring out what's going on. And they're not even that good. Like, if I have to hear Joaquin Phoenix struggle through another song, it could be torture to me. Like, I can't imagine. And I know that there are people who love the first one and they're probably going to love this one. It just baffles me. Like, even the premise of what they're trying to do with these movies, I felt like they failed in the end. Like, and I can't, like I said, I can't go into detail about it because we're spoiler free here. But it just, like, I just was blown away about how bad this was. Several times I leaned over to you and I was like, this freaking movie. Like, just wasn't good. And it all stand for me. There's never going to be a chance, even though I kind of wanted it to, there's never going to be a chance I was going to like this movie. I don't like the glorification of the Joker character as a comic fan. I don't think there's any point to taking a comic book villain like the Joker, one of the worst villains ever. His whole point is that he's this insane person. You never know what he's going to do. He does the worst things imaginable because he lives outside human expectation because he's just insane. And make him a sympathetic character. Like, there's no point to it. Like, I wasn't a fan of what they did in the first one. I knew I wasn't going to be a fan of what they did in this one. And it just... And it's not even coming from a comic purist. It's coming from... I'm so burnt out on let's take the villains of these classic stories and make them a sympathetic character. Here comes Wicked. Here comes like all the other movies that have come before it. Let's make this villain show the real reason behind who they are and like make them a sympathetic character. Not every villain has to be. Sometimes what makes a villain is the fact that they are just a villain. They are evil. They are somehow detached from society because of how bad they are. And that's my Joker. And this movie, not at all, in this movie or the other one, do they even attempt to capture that essence of the character. They made up their own character. They went full force into it. They just happened to slap calm makeup and called him the Joker. So, as a comic fan, I'm not a fan. As a moviegoer, it's a really bad movie that I can't recommend. It's crazy to me that here we are, I don't know, 4 years later from when we started. And we're giving the second Joker movie. Seems like it's going to be just as bad as a review as the first one. Just crazy.
I think it's been 5 years now.
5 years? Holy crap.
I think so. We've reviewed
2019 was our first one, right? Somewhere in 2019.
Yeah.
October 2019.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Here we are, October 2024.
Wow. Nice. So, anyway, that's me. Don't see this movie. It's not worth it. It's just real bad. It's dream sequences stringed together with a loose plot that doesn't make sense at times. I'll tell you the one scene that I was like, as a moviegoer, I was like, what are you? Like, I wanted to walk out when this scene happened because I was like, do you just think that we're so stupid? Like, he gets put in the hole, solitary confinement, for 2 weeks. And then the next time, like, cut to black, fade back into a scene, and she's in the cell with him. And it's like, oh, a guard let me in. And I was like, okay, I can't tell if this is real or not. It's not a dream sequence like we've seen so far. It plays like this is a real scene that actually happened, but there is no indication on whether it is or not. And I was just baffled by that. Like, at least in the first movie, when they do the reveal that the woman he thought he was dating was all in her mind, like, you see that and you go play those scenes in your head and you're like, oh, that scene makes sense now because she wasn't actually there and all that kind of stuff. But this one was just like, it was the only time that I was confused whether or not we were in a dream sequence or not. Every other dream sequence was a completely over-the-top musical number. And then you have this scene that, if it's not a dream sequence, doesn't make sense at all because he is in solitary confinement, which was the whole point of the scene before. And, okay, I'm done because I could just continue going on, but I gotta wrap it up here because I'm sure the masses want to hear what you say.
The masses will hear. Here's what I have to say. This is a bad movie. This may be a worse movie than the first Joker movie, which I didn't like at all. I don't really like Joaquin Phoenix in his acting style, especially the acting style that he uses to play the Joker. But anyway, this movie, at least the first movie was an somewhat interesting story. This movie is not an interesting story. I was pretty disinterested from the beginning to the end of this movie.
Yeah.
And not only is it a bad story, the storytelling is bad.
Yeah.
These interruptions, you mentioned the dream sequences, the musical numbers. Why did you make this a musical? Like, I understand you cast Lady Gaga in it so she can sing, and she can sing, but this, I don't get it. I don't get why it was a musical. And that brings us to the singing. The singing was bad.
Yeah.
Lady Gaga can sing. I agree with you. I wish I could have heard her sing in this. There's like very few moments where she does a great job of singing. Joaquin Phoenix, yes, is not a good singer. And he tries to sing his way through these songs, and it doesn't work at all.
At one point, I thought we were going to get like a William Shatner performance because I was like, well, you can't sing, and you're kind of talking your way through some of these songs.
Right. and that brings us to the songs. The songs are not good.
No.
Like, I love musicals. I would watch a musical any day, and what gets you a good musical is good songs.
Yeah.
And like, you come away from the movie and you're like, oh man, there's like 2 or 3 bangers there, and I'll be singing that or have it on the radio or Spotify or whatever. There's no good songs in this movie. The ones I assume they're not all original songs, but the ones that are original songs are like dogs.
Yeah. Yeah. Or the song that's like gonna build that mountain, but that's the only lyric of the song.
Right.
It's just repeated.
Right.
Over and over and over.
And by the way, that doesn't really make any sense.
No.
In the context of the movie or the plot or anything. So yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I can't think of anything I really liked about this movie, honestly. So,
yeah, I mean, even if you are a Joker fan and that's like your favorite villain or whatever, and like that's your thing, more power to you. But these are just not. The first movie is a incredibly bad representation of mental illness, like dangerously bad. Like, this one continues that, and it's dangerously bad representation of mental health facilities.
yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that some of the deplorable conditions didn't exist. I mean, I think this movie takes place in the 70s. That's my also biggest problem with these movies, is that you can't time place them, but by the look of the cars and everything, I'm saying 70s.
Yeah. And the amount of smoking.
Yeah, and smoking is allowed everywhere. But like, those places probably existed like that in the 70s. I like to think we've come a long way in 50 years. But like, it's just, I mean, it was like, let's make this as cliche as possible on how bad this mental health facility can be. Like, these movies glorify mental illness in a way of, don't take your medication, don't do what you should do to better yourself, like, just escape into your reality and whatever. Like, that's the advocation of this movie, is such a piss poor look on mental health. And I just think movies like that can be incredibly dangerous. Like, whether you believe it or not, your movie tells a story and it could leave an impression on someone. And both of these movies, just, even though they're Joker movies and they're not supposed to take place in real life and stuff like that, it seems like the point of these movies are, let's see if Joker takes place in real life or whatever, what could it be? And it's all just been a laughable joke about mental illness.
Right.
Like, and that's, for someone who struggles with that kind of stuff, it's insulting, honestly. Like, you want to make a movie about the Joker, make a movie about the Joker, but don't have it be wrapped up in like this kind of weird, I don't know, weird thing you're trying to pull over about mental illness, and it is a real problem. Like, it is a real problem, and movies like this just don't help, I don't think.
Yeah, I agree with that. Well, okay, so the last thing I didn't like the pacing of this movie. I thought it was way too slow. From the fact that it takes place over the course of a criminal trial, which isn't that long, to the, like, most of the songs are very slow.
Yeah.
Like, there are not a lot of upbeat songs that they throw in here. And so when you combine that with, Joaquin Phoenix's speak talking on a slow song, it doesn't. Yeah. It just crushes your spirit as you're trying to sit your way through this movie.
Yeah.
So, anyway, that's enough bad things for me. I don't recommend this movie for sure.
Yes. Well, I don't even know what to use for this stupid movie. How many wow, I am drawing a blank on anything that is memorable of this movie. That's what I want the rating system to be. How How many awkward lawyer kisses would you give this movie? 0 being the worst, because then you have none, and then nothing's awkward. And what's going on? I mean, it's boring. 5 being the best, because then you've got 5 kisses, and it's 5 times the awkwardness, and all that kind of stuff. Matt? I'm not used to going to you first for the... Oh, no, I always go to you first.
You always do.
It's just weird.
Like
it's just
normal.
weird when it's just me and you in the car now.
Yeah, I know. We've built up quite a contingent of players, but it's just us tonight. I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with a 0.3 on this. That's very low, but really I didn't enjoy any part of this movie. I think I give it 0.3 because, like, I like Lady Gaga. I didn't like her in this movie, but I like her in general. So, 0.3 awkward lawyer kisses out of 5. It's not even a whole one. There are at least two awkward lawyer kisses in the actual movie.
Yeah.
But my score does not approach.
This movie doesn't deserve it to.
Does not approach that.
No.
So that's where I am. Don't see it. If you like the first one, I'm sorry, but I don't think you'll like this one.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone will. So that's me, 0.3.
I'm really not far off. I think I'm at a 0.4 is where I was going to land. There is we'll talk about it after the podcast. And if you're curious what we're going to talk about, feel free to email us or get in contact with us at the old social medias, and I'll explain. There was a point where I thought I had figured out where this movie was going to go, and I was like, okay, I'm in, based off of what I thought. And so I will say I was probably at a point like 1 or 2 for most of the movie. Mm-hmm. And then when I really started to think, okay, I can see where this is kind of going, and I think this could be, it's never going to raise it super high, but I was like, I'm kind of upticking a little bit. That at least if I'm sitting through this crappy movie, something's interesting me at this point. And then it didn't deliver on that at all. And I was like, I came back plummeting down. So yeah, I'm a 0.4.
Okay. Well, I guess that will wrap it up for this episode of Matt and Todd Go to the Movies. We are, I think, 273 movies since we watched our first one.
Nice.
Which was Joker. And here we are, Joker Folie and Deux. Mm-hmm. And I think we have a worse rating for this movie than we gave our original one.
Probably.
The original rating, I believe I looked it up, was a 0.75. Whatever's out of 5. I don't even know if we had a rating scale at that point.
Yeah, I don't know.
But we do now, and our rating for this movie is 0.35, which is gotta be one of the worst
0.35 awkward lawyer kisses. It's not even a full awkward lawyer kiss.
Right.
Not even half of one.
It's a third of one.
Oh, man.
So that's what we think of this movie, and we don't recommend it whatsoever. Just skip it. Just forget it exists.
Just pass this one if you feel like you need to.
We had a little interaction in the lobby afterwards where these women were at the concession stand. Todd was getting his water refilled, as he likes to do.
As a typical thing, we'll peek behind the curtain.
Right, after the movie. And they had been in the movie also, and they were getting some refills, and they were like, spoiling the end of the movie, like the conclusion of the movie. And they were like, we don't care. This was a waste of our 2 hours.
Yeah, their argument was, this movie was so bad, I don't care that I'm ruining it for other people.
Right.
I'm going to talk to them because I feel like I'm saving them from the movie.
Yes.
Which is quite a take on something, but...
Yeah. Quite a take, but at the same time, they're not wrong.
Yeah.
So that's it. Thanks for listening. Hopefully you listened to this before you saw this movie so that you can know that you shouldn't see this movie. Please continue to listen to our podcast and do the downloads and subscribe and click like and text us.
Those
and
clickety-clacks.
Yeah, do everything. Keep on doing it. And we will see you next time.
Da-da-da-da.
Da-da.
Da-da-da.
Da-da-da.